Hey guys, so you see this book? You see this book? We're gonna talk about it today. I know this book is not new at all. I know plenty of people have read it in the book community and talked about how scarring it was, or how, like, whatever. Let me tell you, I finished it last night. I stayed up till 3 in the morning. I read it in a day, and I want to kind of talk about my thoughts because it's like, I don't have notes or anything. This is a very compulsive decision because since I finished this book, I can't even bring myself to like read anymore. I have a whole bunch of books right now that I got for my birthday, and I'm just like, I need to put it on hold because I literally am trying to still digest this book, and that has never happened to me before. I have read well over hundreds of books, and that has never happened to me before. And let me tell you why. I have been a vegan or vegetarian since I was in high school, and I love animals. That's my whole thing, right? Like, I love animals. So obviously, like, I've seen slaughterhouse videos of animals getting slaughtered, and I've seen the horrors of it, and it's sad. And I've been on and off vegetarian since I was 14. I'm vegetarian again now. I don't think I'm ever gonna be vegan again because it's honestly really hard to do. But I think being vegetarian is sustainable, especially for me. Like, it's just fine. And this book reminded me why. Besides the fact that I originally went vegetarian again recently for my gut health, because I've noticed whenever I eat meat, I just feel crappy. I am gassy. I have a lot of issues when I eat meat. I'm bloated. So many things. But when I don't eat meat, I'm not gassy, I'm not bloated, I don't have as many issues. I still have a few food intolerances, like milk and stuff, but I still drink. Like, I still have milk with cereal, or like I have mashed potatoes. You know, like, I'm not going vegan because I cannot give up my mashed potatoes or my mac and cheese. Milk, I know we have like options like almond milk and stuff, but I don't really love it. And I only really use milk for cereal. So yeah, my creamers, like, I am so picky, so I can't give up the dairy right now. Maybe one day in the future, but not right now. I'm also taking it slow because I know this is off topic, but you'll see why I'm talking about this in a second. I originally, when I went vegetarian and kind of vegan for a minute the first time, I didn't take any supplements, and I didn't know that being iron deficient kind of was something that ran in not necessarily my family, but my mom was anemic, and eventually I became anemic because I remember when I was in high school and I wanted to go donate blood when I was 17 or 18 or something. They told me I couldn't because my iron levels were too low, and that really annoyed me. But I wasn't eating meat back then, and I wasn't taking any supplements. Now I take B12, and I get my blood work done every 6 months to a year, so I keep an eye on my iron, and right now it's good. I don't need to take a supplement, but I'm also a lot more conscious of what I eat in general. Like, I'm not just, eating shit all the time. I try to be healthy, I really do. So anyways, the reason I'm talking about this is because when I was younger and I first started, I used to love horses and stuff, and I knew that horses were getting slaughtered in like Canada and stuff. So I remember when Barack Obama was president, and I was probably like 8 to 10 years old, somewhere in there, and I found the slaughterhouse videos, and I watched pigs getting slaughtered and cows, and like, it was fucking sad. And because I have seen those videos, I will say that like reading this book was not as traumatic for me as it could have been because I already was aware of how horrible it is. Okay, now I'm gonna explain the book in a second. But I need you to know that because I have that background of seeing like animals get slaughtered in the past, it did not traumatize me as much. Because this book is about, well, they slaughter humans. Because apparently there was a virus, and there was a virus in all the animals in this utopian like world, okay? And basically they killed all the animals because if a human caught the virus, the humans died. Some people in the book think it's a conspiracy theory to control overpopulation, because once the virus became a thing and once they killed all the animals, the researchers and people in this world decided to start eating humans as meat, which is crazy. But they end up doing essentially what they do to animals right now in our reality when they slaughter them. They end up doing it to humans too. They have slaughterhouses, they raise them specifically to either produce milk, produce babies to slaughter, or just for meat. They have like farms and they are basically raising human meat and then slaughtering them, and people eat them. And in this society, people call the meat special meat. So it's, for example, not called, let's say, meatloaf, it's called special meatloaf. Or it's not called ribs, it's called special ribs, and that means that it's human. And they don't see humans that are raised for meat as a human. They don't even call them human. They call them like meat or product or something that basically disassociates them from being a human being. And so our main character, before the virus, they call it the transition. Before the transition and before all of the animals were killed off, he was working in his dad's slaughterhouse, and they were obviously slaughtering animals at that point, like pigs and stuff. They weren't slaughtering humans, and he grew up doing that. So when the transition happened and when they transitioned to human meat, he still stayed in the business, but his job was basically to go collect orders from clients for his boss's slaughterhouse so that they could, because people would order like meat. And you kind of meet all these people along the way that are the clients, and it's really sad. I'm not gonna go into it too much because I don't want to spoil it. I think I actually watched, I don't know if Stephanie So or someone else made a video about this book, because I swear to God I've watched a video about this book before, so I kind of already knew the plot, but to read it was like a whole different experience, and I almost cried. I was disgusted. It's sad. Okay, and then of course our main character has his own side story besides the meat slaughtering humans thing going on. But I think that everyone should read this book for one specific reason. That reason is because you need to be aware, if you haven't read this book, of how they treat and slaughter animals made for meat. And that this is really happening right now in the world to animals, and that it's not fair, and that it is fucked up. And because we're seeing it happen to humans in this book, then it's like making you be put in the perspective of how these animals must feel. And I know people think that because they're raised for meat, they have no soul, they have no personality, they have no brain. Basically, they're just meat, which is how they see the meat humans in this book. But you'll come to find out that they're wrong, that the meat humans actually do have a soul too, and do have a personality, and do have emotions, and they do have a brain. So they are capable of thought and everything like that. So I just think everyone should read this book to be aware of how animals are slaughtered in real life, basically. And also because it's a really twisted story that you can't put down. It's only 200 pages, it's a quick read, and I don't know if you're like me where you have a goal for this year about how many books you want to read, but I have to read 8 books a month because I have a 100 book goal, and that's kind of a lot sometimes. So I try to find, when it gets closer to the end of the month like it is right now, I try to find shorter reads so that I can knock out the last few books, and this was one of them. And my God, I could go into a deep dive into it maybe. I'm the type of person I used to love true crime a lot. I don't really love it so much anymore, but I've always loved twisted dark romance and really dark stories, which is why I like fantasy so much. It's why I like H.D. Carlton so much. It's why I like Navessa Allen so much. It's why I like, certain fantasy, I love Wicked, I love, Sarah J. Maas is more, I wouldn't say she's dark romance, but I like that there's some morally gray characters and that there is some dark shit happening. So yeah, I love things like that. I love books like that. So naturally, knowing that this book was really dark and twisted was an instant gravitational pull for me, but it's really dark and twisted. If you're not someone who is able to stomach that, then of course maybe don't read it, but I honestly think even the people that can't stomach it should read it, because I think people need to be put in the position of an animal that, like, how animals feel. And I know people are probably gonna laugh at me and be like, this girl is ridiculous. She's a woo-woo, like, vegetarian person thinking animals have feelings. Just read the book and get back to me. I mean, there is scientific evidence that pigs, whether they're raised for meat or not, are super smart. Like, smarter than dogs. Which is not really hard, because honestly, I love dogs, but they're a little bit stupid. Which is part of why I'm a cat person, because they are smarter. But I do love dogs. I do want to get a dog one day. I'm not, like, anti-dogs or anything like that. But I'm just saying, I literally, you know, do, like, pet sitting for a living and stuff. Like, dogs are not that smart compared to cats. But there are some dogs that are smarter than others. I think it just kind of depends. But yeah, that's a tangent that I just went on. But basically, that's not the point. The point is that, like, these animals that are getting slaughtered, like, these cows, when they take their calves away at slaughterhouses, because, like, obviously they breed cows for milk, they have to keep breeding them, essentially raping them in real life. And then when the calves are born, they take them away from the cows. And the moms that just gave birth to their calves literally cry for their babies and do not want them taken away. And something like that does happen in this book as well, that you'll see that I don't think I'm going to talk about on here because it's really twisted, and I just don't think that some people can handle that. And yeah, so then also that's evidence enough that animals have feelings and animals should have a say. I also grew up around the Midwest where people raised animals on farms and killed them, and they thought that it was more ethical because they would treat the animals right their whole life, and then, you know, they'd send them off to get slaughtered eventually, or they would slaughter them themselves, but they would, you know, make it quick and painless. And no, it's always gonna be murder to me, and I honestly just can't do it anymore. I can't eat meat. It's just not, besides the fact that my body doesn't react well to it, I just don't agree ethically with any of it. And I really shouldn't even be eating dairy or anything like eggs, like, or anything like that either, because I'm still partaking in supporting these industries. But like I said, it's really hard to cut out, and it's gonna take me a while if I ever do get there. So I'm trying to just, you know, be okay with that I still consume that. Mind you, I barely do consume dairy directly or eggs, but I do eat things that have dairy in it. So yeah, and I did plenty of research on, you know, the slaughterhouse industry or whatever you want to call it, and like the meat and dairy industry, and they are owned by bazillionaires. Like, these people are so rich, so powerful. There is no way, even if we all were to boycott, okay, in some fantasy world, and never eat meat again, that these industries would stop slaughtering animals, unfortunately. I know that sounds horrible, but this is the truth, because these people profit so much. It would take every single person on this planet to stop eating meat and dairy for them to actually no longer produce, for them to no longer slaughter animals, and for them to no longer invest in the industry. And that is just never gonna happen. As much as that literally breaks my heart, there's always people that are going to eat animals and think there's nothing wrong with it, no matter how much you show them evidence that it's wrong, because they think that they need protein to live, even though, like, there's literally other ways to get protein. I'm not gonna go into my whole tangent, okay? My point is that, like, even I feed, like, the stray cats here where I live too, because there's so many of them, because people dump them, or they don't get their cat fixed, and then they let them outside, and then they breed, and so there's plenty of strays here. And people are so mean. They threaten to run over them with their car. They threaten to kill them, hurt them. You'll see similar things in this book, in real life. And that's part of why I loved the mystical cat shelter so much, because there were things like that going on in that book. And that made me feel like, okay, like, it's not just here where people are complete pieces of shit. And I know that sounds wrong, like, towards animals. And I know that sounds wrong, but, like, it makes me feel at peace because it's like not me who's doing something wrong. Like these people just exist and they are raised to think that this is okay. And like there's just some people who have such a low IQ that like they will never see like how it's wrong, you know, like how, man, I'm going on a tangent. You guys just need to understand something my mom used to say. People lack common sense. A lot of people lack common sense. Having common sense in general is a great quality to have because so few people have it. And a lot of people are stupid because they don't want to be smart. To be smart, you have to invest in time and energy into yourself to learn, and especially when you're an adult and nobody's making you go to school anymore after you've learned like the bare minimum in life to exist. You don't have to, you know, expand your knowledge. And a lot of people don't. They choose to be ignorant and they choose to not change and they choose to have a closed mind and they think it's their way or the highway and they don't think there's anything wrong with their perspective, even if you lay out evidence showing them that it's wrong, and they are hypocrites. So they say one thing and then 5 seconds later say, like, it's like you're being so hypocritical. Like, these people have the lowest IQ on the planet, and there's plenty of them. So yes, this book is a good read, and yes, I think everyone should read it because it is eye-opening. Yeah, it's disturbing. Yeah, you'll be sitting here for days like, what the fuck? Even as someone who's already seen like these videos of animals getting slaughtered, and then to see this happening exactly the same way but to humans, and I'm still just like scarred. So if I'm scarred and I've been exposed to this stuff since I was like 10 years old, then I know people who have never seen a slaughterhouse video in their life or seen anything like that are gonna be scarred. But I think it's necessary because if you read this and still think that it's okay to consume meat, then I think you're either just unaware of the fact that this happens in real life to animals, not humans, but it still happens the exact same way, and you're naive, and someone needs to make you aware of that. Or if you are aware of that and you read this book and still feel like, okay, like I should still eat meat, I should still like consume and support this industry owned by horrible people. And if you think I'm woo-woo and crazy and dumb, I don't even know what to say to you. I don't think there's anything I could say to you. If this doesn't convince you, then nothing will. So yeah, that's my perspective. That's my little tangent on this book. I was thinking of doing a book haul, but I haven't gotten to it yet. But let me know if you guys have read this book, what you think. Mind you, I'm not hating on people who still eat meat and dairy. Like, there's always going to be this argument that people need protein to live. And there are so many alternatives, especially now. I know it's a little harder to find them if you don't live in a big city, but that doesn't mean that like they don't exist, and that if you put the work in, you can definitely still find alternatives. I know that not everyone, like there's people who probably have family that own farms and they slaughter their animals, or, you know, own one themselves and they can't just up and change their whole life. I know it's not that easy, but yes, you can. So slow and steady steps, you know? You can't make it happen all at once, sure, but like, I think the biggest thing is that we really need to cut back on supporting billionaires, especially everything going on in the world. I think we have come to realize people with a lot of money do a lot of evil things. So why are we still trying to support them? I hate that people kill animals, but if you are going to still eat meat after all this, the least you could do is support a small farm, local farm, or someone that is still an ethical person and not corrupt and making billions of dollars like these slaughterhouse companies. So yeah, I know it sounds crazy, guys, but that's okay. The best people are crazy because we are the most aware and we are the most intelligent. And I'm not even like as smart as other people, but I don't think, like, you can be book smart versus like life smart, okay? And a lot of people might be book smart. What that means is like you're good with your grades, you're like good at school or whatever. But to be smart in life is a whole different skill. Ideally, everyone should strive to be both, but people don't put in the work after high school or college, so naturally that doesn't happen. Just read the damn book, and I'm gonna stop ranting about my beliefs because they're just super irrelevant to this channel, but I do still want to speak on my beliefs and my values, especially right now in the world with how things are going. I'm not going to stay silent about my opinions, but at the same time, you're allowed to disagree with me and we can still be good, okay? But yeah, that's my opinion. And definitely read this book, especially if you like dark, twisted stuff. But you have, been warned that like every possible, what's the word? Like before you watch something and before you read something, sometimes they'll trigger warning. Every possible trigger warning under the sun, okay? Just so you know. But yeah, I hope you guys got something out of this video. I hope it was sort of informational and not really me just going on some random tangents that had nothing to do with it. But that is how I feel. And I stand by what I said. All of it. I stand by everything I said. And yeah, I'll keep you guys updated on what I'm reading. You can follow me on Fable. I will have my link below. And also on Instagram. I made an Instagram. And I'll see you guys next time. If you like books, make sure to subscribe because this is a book channel, so I got you. Alright, bye guys.